Yes, it's already coming. Yes, now we are live. Hello, dear viewers. I'm Masood Khan, Editor-in-Chief, DBF World News. I'm welcoming you to watch COVID-19 and emerging challenges, and of course, is the way forward. We'll talk about today. We have very eminent guest. One is Professor Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, who is the Professor of International Relations, University of Dhaka. And then we have another very eminent guest, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Nepal, Dr. Bangshidhar Mishra. Both of you, welcome to our studio. Now, I'd like to just start with Professor Imtiaz Ahmed. COVID-19 with and dilemma. And you know that by now, global economy is shrinking 33.2%, according to UN report. So we are like to just first request to Professor Imtiaz Ahmed to talk about it. Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my views on COVID-19, particularly the challenges that all of us we have to face. Now, when it comes to challenges, and particularly Bangladesh, I think if you look at the rate of infection and also the casualty, if you compare that with some of the developed countries, I will say still we are at a lower stage. Now, it can go up, no doubt about it. But so far, I think it's at a stage where we can say relatively better if you compare to some of the developed countries. Although we have our Excellency from Nepal. Nepal is in a much better shape. If you compare per million, I think they have only 1 death per million, whereas we have already 17 deaths per million. We are very close to India per million. Death per million is 19, and we have 17. But if you compare with US, Brazil, we are far, far lower. US has more than 400 per million. So I think the challenge now is how we can keep or how we can have the rate go down and not the spike go up. That's a big challenge. And I guess one way of doing that would be the public health management in place. And when we talk about the public health management, it's basically 3 things that WHO has flagged. One is hand washing, the second is wearing the mask, and the third one is physical distance. If we can keep that 3, and in places where we have great infection, if we can put them in kind of lockdown, I guess we can get the infection down, the infection rate down. And once that is done, I think the recovery of the economy can be made more quickly than what we have now at this stage.
Yes. Perhaps there is a little sound problem. Now, let me. Yes. Come to. Yes. Have to unmute the mic. Yes. Now, can you hear?
Yeah, I can.
Ambassador, can you hear me? Ambassador?
Yes, I can hear. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good then.
Yeah, I can hear you. Excellent. So my question is to you. You know, WFP, World Food Program, told to the UN Security Council in April that some 821 million people go to bed hungry every night all over the world, and 135 million people are facing crisis levels of hunger or worse. So this is a huge challenge for the all over the globe. So how do you see? And I know that Nepal has managed this pandemic situation very well. So Ambassador Dr. Bangshidhar, Ambassador of Nepal, Your Excellency, yes, please,
Thank you very much
respond this
for
question.
providing me
Yes.
opportunity to talk about this very, very relevant continent and now burning issue, we can say, COVID-19 and its impact, the challenges all over the human beings of the world. As Professor Imtiaz has already explained, stated about the situation, the very situation and this pandemic, as we all know, that after a century, after First World War, after the Spanish flu, this is the serious most pandemic actually, and that has posed threat to the whole world, and you know, 500,000 already dead and proceeding towards the lot of deaths and the cases in all over the world, not excluding any country, whichever it is developed or underdeveloped, it is poor or rich, so affecting all over the society. Mostly, of course, the elderly persons are a bit more at risk of dying. The death rate is more in the elderly people and some preoccupying disease people, and also mostly male. But whatever it is, it has a great impact on, of course, the health, and then due to that, it has the most seriously affected, as you have already stated, the economy of the countries. And not only that, due to that, the whole norms even of the society has in a change process, you can see, because new normal norms and values have to come. Now the social distancing, and we cannot meet, we cannot gather. It has a greatest effect on the tourism. Now tourism has already stopped, so in many ways actually it has affected all over the society, human being, on the economy, and many sectors. Of course, still to come, the effects are still to come, because it's hardly we are proceeding 6-7 months, and it is the fear is again that resurgence in those countries which have already a bit controlled. So even in Nepal, we are under threat. Already it's under control. Fortunately, the death rate is a bit very low, and the infection rate, that is also one thing, because out of how many numbers you traced, the rate of infection is also very high in certain countries, including Bangladesh. I can see today it was for today's rate of infection was 24.97, something like that. It's very high. In that part, we in Nepal have controlled it under just 2% out of the tested cases. But still, we are not in safe position, because we all are not in safe position. We can't say anything. Daily some new things are coming. Like now it can spread in the air. Of a lot of scientists have told that it's not that only the fourth person can transmit. That was the case. That is, we are thinking, and that could have been prevented by wearing the mask while traveling, because we cannot wear the mask all the time, 24 hours. But now it has been being said that they can stay in the air, the droplets can be there for many, many hours, and they can spread by the air also. So there is a lot of threat posed by this pandemic, and now we have to think in the same way to mitigate them. And because the challenges are a type of new challenges are serious, so we have to think that way also to how to manage these challenges, to combat with this disease, because the infection is going to be controlled only by, as Professor Imtiaz said, that we have to do measures like the social distancing, you can say physical distancing, having masks. Now, whenever we go out, whenever we talk with each other, and soap water, sanitizing our hands and other things. So these things will work, but not 100% anyway. Maximum it will work. We have to wait for the vaccine that we are expecting with the beginning of New Year. We can say in some part maybe early, some delay. We hopefully not sure, but hopefully the vaccine will come, and then we can mitigate this disease. But within, as you have mentioned, the major challenges within these months, those people who are going to be hungry and they are threat to die by hunger. So that's and not only that, in many countries, many countries, the poor, the below poverty line people, the unemployed people, even in the lower middle income people who are employed somewhere, now the employment has been reduced, and somewhere they have the unemployment rate is very high. So a lot of challenges has been posed that how to save their lives. So now time has come to think globally. All the countries, because we have seen that no country is barred. Whatever be their quality, they are rich, powerful, they have got a lot of arms and ammunition, and whatever they are in position to help others. But now the situation has come that every country has to be together for at least this issue, forgetting their all other things, other issues, and for to come to mitigate these challenges and to at least save the humanity. With at least they should not die by hunger. They should be surviving, and then we have to think in a collaborative way. So there was initiation, but unfortunately, I'm not seeing very much progress in this sector. Even we were very much enthusiastic when SAARC countries were in a video conference initiated by Prime Minister, our great Prime Minister of India, Modi ji. He initiated, and a lot of all the prime ministers and other minister from some country and other head of the government were there of all the SAARC, and they have already they managed a fund, but we cannot see it's working. And the country individually are facing the challenges. Bangladesh is facing with their own efforts, trying very hard to make the people survive, at least to mitigate the challenges of the health issues. To fortunately the death rate is low in Bangladesh, even lower than India. So I'm a bit happy, but I feel very much pain when I see even the elder people, very renowned people, former minister, former MP, lot of former secretaries, eminent personalities, scholars, professors. They are, the dates I read in the newspapers online, and then feel very much pain, although, but still a bit satisfaction that the number is a bit lower, and hopefully, our habits, cultural habits, and other things are more or less we are having community in the poor people, particularly, so that not many people are dying and they are surviving even unnoticeably. I can tell one thing: when we were sending back home few Nepalis who are stranded here, and there were no studies now, so they wished, although they were very much in a good position here, very safe. So we had to do COVID tests before their flights. So dozen of Nepali students were positive. Out of them, 11 became negative after 7 days without any symptom. And one is just few days ahead. He is also without any symptom. He will be negative within 7-10 days. So there are, I can see a bit satisfaction that this part of people, we are a bit human with this coronavirus. But they are always there, because once it is in elderly people, once it is some disease is already there, so we can have to face, and very unfortunate demises of some people. And anyway, we have to overcome the fear also, the dogma, the stigma. In some parts of in Nepal and others also, the dead bodies are not being allowed to go through the villages and other things, through roads. And a lot of people, and even certain, they cannot be buried, or they can be, So there are a lot of stigma also. We have to mitigate them, and we have to now teach each other. We have to learn to live with corona and making ourselves safe. There is no way, because we cannot stop, because all the time the industry, all the time it cannot be possible. Any country, particularly we, South Asian countries, the developing countries, we have many challenges. So we cannot stop work, and we cannot feed all our population. Bangladesh particularly, I can see huge population, and so it cannot go longer. So we have to do our works, we have to do our productions, we have to manage our employment, and at the same time remain safe, same time make ourselves safe. And so there are challenges with preventive measures also, and we have to go with the demands of this health issues also, like we have to have more ventilators, more beds, more sophisticated equipments. Fortunately, the medicine, the Remdesivir, Bangladesh is a pioneer in that, and so I'm very much thankful to the government of Bangladesh and Nepal also. In the beginning, from the beginning, they sent some samples, some medicines also, and initiated with help. So it's a very good gesture. I'm very fortunate to see that Bangladesh government, and through this media, your media, and this forum, I can I really thank on behalf of my country to government of Bangladesh who supported us. Although it was the number was it's okay, but this is good gesture. So we are being in touch, we are in collaboration, but more collaboration we need. And all other countries also, we are extending our experiences in all the sectors, and how to mitigate these issues with these economic sectors and other things. We need more and more, collaboration, more coordinated efforts also, and that way we can move forward, I think. Professor Masood.
Thank you.
I think I have spoken a bit longer.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you again. Now I'm coming back to Professor Imtiaz Ahmed. Yes, mic is now unmute. Yes, sir. So Bangladesh economy, I'm talking about the Bangladesh perspective, because you're a professor of international relations. So country like Bangladesh, the past few years, Bangladesh economy was rising very faster. And we are thinking that we're touching by 21, Bangladesh was supposed to be by middle income country or so. So in this period, a great heat turned to Bangladesh economy, and the whole system collapsed. So if you could say some way forward, country like Bangladesh, what could be the way forward to, especially to, create a relationship with the overseas world, especially the developed part of the world? How can Bangladesh mitigate this problem, sir?
Well,
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you have to unmute the other two mics.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Otherwise, it echoes. Right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm unmuting. Yeah.
Professor Masood also has to unmute. Otherwise, yeah, better. So I think the point here is how do we face this COVID-19 and come up in a way where Bangladesh can make a difference as it was doing before COVID-19. Now, since the economy of the entire world has slowed down, so relatively speaking, one has to see that how much you have suffered or how much we have suffered. I guess we know that today or tomorrow the COVID-19 will go away. So what you need to do is start preparing yourself so that you can actually bounce back in a way where your work has to be much more faster than pre-COVID-19 kind of a situation. And you have to be much more dynamic and much more efficient. Let me use that word and emphasize that particular word. You have to be much more efficient as you return to kind of an economy which would start running, immediately after the pandemic is over. Now, we all know that everyone is waiting, I guess, two things. One is whether you can control the spike and let the curve down and flatten the curve, let's put it that way, whether you can do that. And at the same time, you wait for the vaccine to come, or at least you know the kind of medical response that is required where you can save lives. Because I think we need to distinguish now with the number of infection and number of casualty. If you can reduce the number of casualty, that's a big achievement, let's put it that way. Because it looks like people are going to get infected one way or other. This is a virus. It's not going to go away. But how do you create your own immunity system, build your system in a way where you can actually, keep the virus not doing damage to the extent that you are dead. So somehow, if you look at some of the countries, and I guess even Bangladesh, if you compare that with some of the developed countries, I guess it could be because of the mutation. Some people say because of the weather, because it's more humid. Some people also say maybe the people have, because they work in a very hard life, their immune system is much better. Whatever the reason, it seems that so far, up until now, as Ambassador was also pointing out, the casualty has been relatively low. Now, keeping that and making it even lower to the point of zero, I think will create a situation where you start your economy. Now, you know very well that you have to be very smart, because everybody is trying to come back and do your economy. Now, from that point of view, I guess Bangladesh is placed in a better shape to some extent. Let's look at some of the items, if we can say. If it's ready-made garments, it is quite understandable that people would need more garments than automobiles, let's put it that way. You need more clothes, in the coming future. And Bangladesh, we don't produce very high-end clothes. We produce mid-range and lower range clothes, which is more affordable. I think the affordable clothing would be required. So from that point of view, I think we have some advantage. If you look at the pricing, and if you look at the efficiency and the product that we have built so far, I think the clothing industry, at least my hunch is that it is going to bounce back in a much more in a better shape, given that we do not produce very high-end clothing. At the same time, we are not into very in items which you can actually shelf for 3 to 4 years. As I said, automobile is not something that we do in a big way. We do assemble automobiles, but it's not something of a major kind of activity. At the same time, if you look at the remittances, that's the other area where Bangladesh, even now in the pandemic, the only growth that you can see a little bit is actually in the remittances. There has been a little bit of growth even in the remittances as we speak. Now, one of the reasons I think we have done a little bit better, again, because we are not in the high-end employment sector. We are in a sector which is very essential, because bulk of our working force, and as I think it would be the case also of Nepal, bulk of them are in the Middle East, working in areas where it is essential. You can't throw them out. You can't throw them out from construction. You can't throw them out from cleaning the streets. You can't throw them out from the restaurants business. These are things which are absolutely day-to-day kind of a thing. So it's not something which you can say, okay, we don't need 20 people, we can do it online, so let's put it 5 people and let the 5 people go off. That's not the kind of working force that we have who are sending the big remittances. Now, as I say, one also have to keep in mind that there is corruption, and we have people, and this is mainly from the elite group who send money back to the developed countries, and I would say illegally. That has to be stopped at the same time, because it's almost near 8 billion per year. And unless you stop that, you are not going to make a difference to the kind of economy that you want to do. So I'm still hopeful that if we can, let the curve down. In the meantime, if we can have the vaccine ready, and as the ambassador was also pointing out, that Bangladesh's reputation in the pharmaceutical industry is quite known. In fact, the 2 medicines that we all talk about is now being used throughout the world. Even in the United States, it has not been approved by WHO, but people have to save lives. So they are using the kind of combination that Bangladesh has made, some difference in some of the hospitals. So plus the pharmaceutical industry, Remdesivir made quite a name at one point in time. If you look, the PPE is being exported to developed countries. That has made a difference. So what I'm saying is we have the infrastructure actually to bounce back in a very meaningful way. So I'm pretty hopeful, provided we can keep the infection rate low, provided we can contain the infection at the same time, provided we can keep the death rate as low as possible to the point of making it zero. And the quicker we do it, I guess the chances are that the economy would bounce back in a much better way than what is being predicted now. So I'm at this stage, I'm still hopeful, but as you know, things may change overnight. Some people say the second wave is much more dangerous than the first wave. We don't know yet, but as we speak today, I would say I'm still hopeful. The only thing that we have to keep at this point, and I guess that would also include Nepal and whole of South Asia, is not let the fear take us. Because if we become scared, and if fear is spread throughout South Asia, then I'm afraid we can't do anything. One thing we must not do is to post all the fearful news, which we sometimes love to do that. I don't know why people find some sadistic pleasure out of that. But I think we need to get the fear out, because fear doesn't help anyone, actually. It makes people more scared, and then you don't do anything. So why do you want to promote something of that kind? I understand some of the news ought to be brought in, but one has to be very smart, and one has to be responsible each and every person has to be responsible. You can't just say that the government has to be responsible, or that association has to be responsible, or WHO has to be responsible. I think each and every person has to be responsible. If we take that into account, because the three things that WHO is saying, and I have already flagged it, and Ambassador also flagged it, hand washing, wearing masks, and physical distance really doesn't require billions of dollars. Let's put it that way. You don't need sophisticated instruments to do these three things. So only thing is, you need to put the three things in mind of each and every person. That is a challenge. I can understand, because a lot of people would not do, and will say, well, if I don't do, it is not going to hamper others. There, I think we need mobilization. We need tremendous mobilization through all the means that we have, through students, through smartphones, through television channels, media, all the politicians, all the mechanisms that one can think about. You need to put them into place, because this is a kind of a situation we never had in 21st century. Ambassador pointed out about, way back in 20th century, the Spanish flu. Keep in mind, and this I have to say, and this is my personal opinion, the world is not going to change that much. Let's put it that way. Because after the Spanish flu, which came at the end of the First World War, don't forget, we had the Second World War, and 66 million people were killed. And so people, changing people is very, very tough. It takes a longer time scale. But this is an opportunity to work for it. This is a time where we need to build the public health system in a much more comprehensive way. And when we say public health, we really mean absolutely at the grassroots level, to the point that each and every person would be empowered to know what is good for his or her health, and not wait for one system or one institution to come and say, do this and do that. I think that change, there is a possibility of coming, because now we are using the technology as you can see today. It's a unique technology which we did not have during the Spanish flu. This is absolutely a different technology. Not to mention, we have a smartphone, which was not there in during the Spanish flu. So I am hopeful that changing human behavior would be much more appropriately addressed this time than probably during the Spanish flu, which we could not. So you can be positive to some extent, but unless and until it is being done, I guess it would remain at the theoretical level. We need to bring it down to the level of practice. But as I said, changing human beings is very tough. I'll stop there now. You have to unmute.
Okay, unmute. Right.
Yeah, go ahead, Masood.
I'm trying. Now unmute. All right. So now the whole world is suffering a lot, especially the blame game going on. The whole world. It is the high time to have to come closer and work together to survive and sustain and continue formidably in chorus. So if you could respond about blame game, which is going on now in the whole world. So if you would like to combat this, the coronavirus, then you have to be united globally.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, really. I'm fully agree with Professor Imtiaz. He has very much elaborated the situation, and already mentioned the many things that we should move towards, and the real situation, the privilege, the opportunity we have to mitigate the crisis and the risk already here. we should not be in a fearful position. Fully agree, fully agree. Just I would like to add before going to the point of this blame game, that is very true that we should avoid immediately this blame game. This is not going to work at all. But before that, I can see, I'm from since more than 9-10 months I'm here. So I can see that Bangladesh has another also, a very good point, a privilege, that is in agriculture sector. That is must, for the survival, the agriculture, and Bangladesh has is doing so well, being self-sufficient and being able to even supply others. So that has not been compromised at all. So still now I can see that. So this is very good point, and even we can collaborate in all this region with this sector. Secondly, we have to think that our development may compromise. Maybe Padma Bridge may not come in time, the speculated time, the estimated time. So we have to compromise for some time, that okay, we are in difficult situation for years and years, so we will wait for two years, no problem for that. So some in Nepal also there is a water project. It is since 30 years, Melamchi project we say it. So we were just expecting that in this June that the water will come through the mountains through that, but that is not the case. At least 3-4 months, 6 months is going to again delayed. So people had waited 30 years. So in Nepal and another sector also, the in aviation sector, we were hoping to inaugurate an international airport near the Lumbini, the birthplace of Lord Buddha, Bhairava. But that has at least 6 months it has been gone. So maybe that we have to face, no problem for that. And the very good thing Professor Imtiaz has already mentioned, that we have to change our productivity, our certain nature of the industries also. Like Bangladesh prepared PPE, personal protective PPE equipment, and that has to be that are welcomed in US and other developed countries also. So even some garment industry, some other things go for that. So there are many other opportunity windows are there. So that change could be done. And for that, the most important things are two things. One, stability, political stability within the country and within the countries, inter-countries also. The stability should be there, the harmony should be there. At least the second thing, we should not go for the blame game. If there is issues, there may be issues. There are always issues, but we have to put those issues in low profile, hide them, and come together to face these challenges for the broader, the safety of the humanity, all human being, and then we can go for again our issues later in certain parts. So this you have already said. I can see I'm not in a position to say anybody anything, but I can request all the concerned leaders of the countries to be more responsible, to initiate, without any prejudice, dialogues and talks if there is any issues, and come in a harmony to face the challenges. Because we can see the UN system and UN agencies already, they are warning that millions of people are going to die. So we have to help them to make them survive, whether they are in Yemen or Africa and others. We have to stop all the wars or whatever, our debates or our conflicts, and come in a collaborative way to work together to save this humanity and move forward. I believe that there is no issue in this world that can be mitigated by coming together, have a closer dialogues without any prejudice, without any conditions. You come, sit in the dialogue, and you can find a way. Win-win situation we can find in any position, in any case. So now I think nature has threatened us nature is saying that you have to come in a collaborative way. You have to avoid these blame games and other things, and come together, cooperate each other. So this is, I think, need of our hour, and that will actually build our confidence, and we can really face all the challenges and move forward in a very, very optimistic way, very, very positive way. I'm also optimistic, like Professor Imtiaz, and because we may face many challenges, but we should be very much optimistic and with a positive attitude. So this will work, I think, Professor Masood.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. You have very rightly said that in this pandemic situation, three of us here in the studio, we said that we all have to be optimistic, because this time we have to be united. Could you kindly unmute your mic, please? I can't unmute your mic. Can you unmute your mic? Yes, now we can unmute. So what I said, Professor Ahmed, because the whole world is same scenario. We are coming to the same line, rich, poor, everybody in the same line now. And the pandemic has taught so many good things, which is humanity. Humanity is very, very important in this today's world. And we have to be unity, or we have to be united. As I said, that forgetting the blame game, as I mentioned before with Ambassador Bangshidhar. So, sir, I would like to ask you one question that is pretty much important. The question of humanity. Still, we find a huge absence in our society. So, if you could respond about this question in particular, humanity. Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, yes.
Well, thank you. It's a little bit. Well, again, it's echoing. I think you have to switch off. Yeah, you have to unmute. Right. Thank you. I think it's unfortunate that when the pandemic came, some of the big countries, some of the major countries, we had in the government very right-wing forces. And what we mean by right-wing forces is that these countries became very insular, and they wanted to guard and build their own economy and almost trying to retreat from globalization. We had that in the United States, a right-wing force. We had that in Brazil, in UK, in Australia, also in our neighboring country, in India. And these are major countries, no doubt. But in all these countries, somehow, and we can, maybe talk in a different, in another day, why that is so. But all these countries who could have made a difference were actually, or still run by very right-wing forces who hardly believe in multilateralism. They all believe in bilateralism. They believe in protecting their borders. They believe in making hundreds of thousands of people overnight illegal migrants. Those countries, some of the countries who were actually who have developed through migrants, they wanted to put wall. So you had all these big countries, and somehow the pandemic came when they were in charge. So, hypothetically speaking, if they had other kind of people altogether who were more liberal and more globalized, the chances probably would have been that there would have been immediately a summit way back in January. If you remember, news started flowing from January onwards, and we had 2-3 months actually. The entire world, Europe had literally 2 months, but nobody was believing what was coming from WHO and Wuhan. And one should not forget that in WHO, you had people you had American scientists who were giving real-time data to CDC and also to United States and to the rest of the world. So though they came, I think 8th or 9th March, calling it pandemic, because that's the scientific definition or concept. But from January, starting from January, they were talking about this virus that they said, be careful. And we have seen, particularly one country, China, how they actually blocked their entire city, which was millions of people. It's not like it's Wuhan is a city which has more population than Bhutan, just to give you an example, but they succeeded, literally succeeded in containing them, and the rest of the world were laughing. The rest of them were saying, look what is happening, in China, not letting people out, So you had all those criticism, not knowing that virus would come and hound them. Now, interestingly, they stopped aircrafts, Chinese flying in. I'm just giving an example, flying into United States, but they did not stop Americans flying in from China to US. Now, the virus doesn't know who is an American and who is a Chinese. The virus would come in anyway. So I think the world somehow, I would say it's very unfortunate that we had some regimes who were so insular that they did not take the warning that was coming from WHO and, of course, from China also very seriously. And that, we lost time. So even if you tell Bangladesh, I can give you a very good example. In February, we had one flight come in from Wuhan, where we had Bangladeshis come in. We kept them in, we quarantined them for 2 weeks. And none of them had any positive, none of them had any COVID positive. They were all COVID-19. But we never took care of the people who were coming from Italy and Germany, from Europe. We thought that no, those systems must be very good. So when they are boarding the people, they must be very, all COVID free. But that was not the case. And we suffered because the figure tells you around 600,000 of them came from January to March to Bangladesh from Europe. Now, if you don't quarantine them, you are actually asking for problems. So what happened is it's an easy, simple case where I see that the world could have done much better. But unfortunately, the world did not collaborate, did not work together, to the point we have seen that United States now with Donald Trump has left WHO. Now, I understand he has, an election to win and all this domestic politics and all, but to get out of WHO, it doesn't make any sense. So my point here is we are unfortunate, but as Ambassador Mishra was saying, this pandemic has shown us that we cannot remain insular. We cannot, block our borders and say we will be good, we'll be well off. This pandemic has shown that you need to be much more globalized than before. You need to cooperate. The borders have become meaningless with the virus. The virus has no, reason to believe in all these borders. So we need to think out of the box how we can work. And since Ambassador is here, I think it's time that Nepal and Bangladesh should start thinking that how the education of these two countries can be digitally connected, because this is an opportunity that Nepal and Bangladesh are getting. I understand if you bring other countries, some countries probably will not join, but some countries probably will join. But just to give an example, I think it's important that Bangladesh and Nepal should immediately, their universities, their colleges should start interacting digitally and say how we can actually collaborate in the education sector. Similarly, as Ambassador was saying, in the medical sector. Similarly, it is important to know in the agriculture sector how we can work, because digitally nobody can stop us to work together. So this is, I think, the best time where Nepal and Bangladesh, and I want to limit that because Ambassador is here, I'm taking the opportunity to start thinking about what are the areas these two countries we can work. And I see no reason why we can't have another Zoom where we have officials from Nepal and the civil society sector, non-governmental sector from Bangladesh and Nepal in a Zoom meeting, deciding, for 1 or 2 days, working on it, have a brainstorm and say, what are the areas these two countries can start working? I think this is the best opportunity we can do. Once that is done, I believe other countries will also follow Bangladesh and Nepal and will say, okay, we can't just sit and say, okay, everything will be okay. Let the vaccine come out. We can't wait. The world will not wait, and the vaccine will come today or tomorrow. And I'm 200% sure humans have this enormous creativity in the head. They will come out with a vaccine, no doubt. Okay, but the point is, it may take 6 months, maybe 9 months, but post-pandemic is an era we have to start working. So I think Nepal and Bangladesh should start thinking what are the areas we can start working, and let's start from digital side of the thing and then build on that as we go forward. So I think this is a good opportunity. We need. Blame game is not going to help us in any way, and those who are into this blame game, I believe, will be the losers at the end, because humans want to live and wants to live very in good ways. So I think this is a big opportunity for some of these countries to work together.
Thank you so much, Professor Imtiaz Ahmed. You have very rightly said, with the high level of confidence. That is pretty much important. Especially you help us to confidence. Thank you so very much, Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, for your wonderful talk. Now let me come back to we're almost end of the session. So now I'm coming back to Ambassador Can you unmute? Yes, okay. Now it's okay. So, Ambassador Bongshidhar, can you hear me?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening. Yes, I'm listening you. It's okay.
Hello, Ambassador.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Hello.
My sound is okay. Are you listening?
Yes,
me?
Your Excellency. Can you hear me?
Right. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I have a question. Has very right that we meeting what we can, or we have some common ground, what we can help each other, what we can cooperate each other. So this is a wonderful suggestion has made by Professor Imtiaz Ahmed. So if you could respond about this question, Ambassador Dr. Bongshidhar Misra. Yes.
Thank you very much. Really, I'm very much. I'm thankful to enlightened and highlighted this digital collaboration. We can collaborate in many sectors, and this is very high time. So I'm fully agree with him. And I will do whatever I can from now onward, because I was also thinking that this is not the time to just be silently looking and just thinking that things will be better in future and not doing anything. So this is very good thing. I'm fully agree with Professor Imtiaz and you all. Actually, we have to work for the post-COVID situation, because we will combat it, as Professor has already said, and we all know that we will overcome this situation, and then for that we can prepare many things. So with Bangladesh and Nepal relations, we are having so close and cordial, and we have lot of issues, lot of things very positive that we can strengthen our relation, and we can be benefited by each other. So before this, before March, even in early March, there was a there was Commerce Secretary level joint meeting, and that initiated, for the this business deal. That is, I mean, this PTA, Preferential Trade Agreement. That is very good, a very unique thing within our country, that certain things, certain commodities, we will supply each other in each other's country freely. That is one thing. That was actually, the agreement was due in this June. But digitally we can move forward. We can talk in digitally in a Zoom meeting and finalize it for the further. So at the same time, we are about to finalize a flight from Swayatpur to the eastern part of Nepal. That will hardly take 20-25 minutes. So Honorable Prime Minister was very much optimistic, very fully agreed, and she initiated that go ahead. So that meeting within both countries' authorities, we can do digitally, and we can finalize the things. And once the situation is okay, the regional flight can happen within this situation, because the smaller flights of 73, the aircrafts can fly in the both countries, and there is our smaller flights and here the smaller flights are even coming and going to in this period also, taking some passengers from Bangladesh, from Dhaka and from Kathmandu. They are flying. So there we have got the experiences. So these things could be done. And major sector, I focus again, that is the education sector. Already Professor has said that we can think how to collaborate and take advantage from each other. We benefit for our the students and others people. We can learn from each other in many sectors. And of course, agriculture is the most one that we have to collaborate and learn from each other. We have initiated many things. We are also in power sector also. Nepal is very much willing to supply power to Bangladesh. That is the renewable energy, because that will, even Bangladesh is self-sufficient. It will replace the coal burning, and that will help for the environment and contribute for the other things. And this sustainable green energy, we can collaborate with Bangladesh, and there is very good improvement in this sector. So these all things will not and should not stop. We can talk in Zoom meetings, in other meetings. We can finalize the things. We can go ahead and have a opportunity to, after post-COVID situation or whatever can be done now, we can do now, and even after a few months we can do once the situation is better. So there is a lot of opportunities within these both countries, and I am really happy that today we have highlighted some of them, and we all should now actually think to be more closer, as Professor has said, more collaborative, as said, and particularly Bangladesh and Nepal, which the both countries are so cordial, so close, that we should be an example to initiate. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to highlight these things to I'm become very much benefited. I thank Professor Masood and also Professor Imtiaz.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency, because you have made so many very important remarks, and especially the Professor.
You have to unmute. Masood, you have to unmute.
I can listen, Professor Imtiaz, but not Masood.
Yeah, Ambassador, I can hear you, but not Masood.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Sorry, sir. So Professor Imtiaz Ahmed and also Dr. Bangshidhar. As you know, Your Excellency, Professor Imtiaz Ahmed is a very renowned professor of international relations in Bangladesh. I'm sure you might be knowing it. And he has made a very pragmatic suggestion, very, very important suggestion, which we believe that we can keep on or some kind of dialogue between Nepal and Bangladesh, and which other country may follow, which is very, very important suggestion. I really liked it. Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, for your wonderful suggestion. And Your Excellency, Dr. Bangshidhar, I'm sure that I know for a long time you are a very, very dynamic and, of course, very down to the earth. And you have so many pragmatic ideas, which if we can, explore, I believe Bangladesh, the relationship will go into newer heights. Thank you so much, Bangshidhar. And do you have any kind of ending note, Professor Imtiaz Ahmed, in a 1 minute or so? Yes.
Well, very, very quickly,
Professor
I think.
Imtiaz Ahmed.
Thank you. Very quickly, I think ambassador can start initiating on 3 areas. One is on education. I think the academicians from both sides should meet immediately through Zoom and start thinking what we can do. My university would be very happy to co-host if required. We'd be very happy to do that. One area. Second, I think the journalists, the media sector of both sides should also meet. What kind of news they should give, how they want to benefit. I think the journalists also should meet. And the third area is the public health NGOs and the GOs, those who are into public health. They also need to meet. So I think these 3 areas, at least immediately, I think is very important, which can take Bangladesh-Nepal relationship at a much higher level. And I'm sure both the countries would benefit from such collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Professor Imtiaz Ahmed. And Dr. Bangshidhar, you can make a ending remarks in a minute, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Imtiaz.
Yeah.
Fully agreeing with this initiation. I will initiate from my part. In education sector, in media sector, in public health sector, this is very actually very easy. We initiate that we can go forward in this sector and become benefited. So definitely it's very good suggestion, and I really thank very, very much. And also other parts also that are pending. So I think there is a way that we can talk. We can and have some very good benefits within the time. So there are a lot of opportunities in our countries because the people level we are very close. We can examples and we can forward. So at the end, I again thank you and say long live Bangladesh-Nepal friendship. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for getting blame game. As I mentioned once again, we have to work together. We have to be united and face this situation. Thank you so much. Let's build friendship, trust. That is much important from these 2 days. And the pandemic education for all of us and create a peaceful world together. Thank you so much, Ambassador Bangshidhar, and also Professor Imtiaz Ahmed for making a wonderful talk. Thank you so much. We'll again arrange a Zoom session with Nepal and Bangladesh. So with this note, I would like to end this session for today. We'll see another session in Zoom session again. Thank you so much once again.